Hello and welcome to the first episode of Warhammer 40k 8th edition Rants. I will be taking this first episode to rant and complain about the differences between the Chaos Demons Codex and the Thousand Suns Codex when taking a Demon Prince of Tzeentch. For the purpose of this rant, we will be taking into account the official Warhammer 40k 8th edition rulebook, the chapter approved book, both of these two codexes, rulebook official update version 1.2, chapter approved 2017 official update version 1.1, the big FAQ 1 2018, Codex Chaos Demons official update version 1.2, and Codex Thousand Suns official update version 1.1. The main reason I want to make this rant is because in the previous group I noticed that there were multiple situations in which bringing a Demon Prince of Tzeentch from the Thousand Suns Codex would have benefited the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch army and would have potentially allowed it to win games that it ended up losing. So first and foremost, when we compare the two codexes side by side, a Demon Prince with or without wings is the exact same power and the exact same points before and after weapon options. However, there is a slight difference in the stat line for both models. Within the Chaos Demons Codex, a Demon Prince of Chaos has a leadership of 9, while from the Thousand Suns Codex, a Demon Prince of Tzeentch has a leadership of 10. Other than that, they are the exact same. Same movement, same toughness, same armor save, same invulnerable save. So already, we are off to a discrepancy that doesn't make much sense. Why does the Demon Prince of Tzeentch from the Thousand Suns Codex have a better leadership than the Demon Prince of Tzeentch from the Chaos Demons Codex? And while most of the time that won't matter because it is a single model unit and therefore is never going to have to take a morale check from having lost models over the course of the previous player turn, but it could make a difference when it comes to certain psychic powers such as Treason of Tzeentch, where your opponent can force you to take a leadership check or something bad could happen. The second major difference between the two codexes when it comes to a Demon Prince of Tzeentch is their ability to use psychic powers. First, I will read from the Chaos Demons Codex. Under Psyker, a Tzeentch, Nurgle, or Slaanesh Demon Prince gains the Psyker keyword. It can attempt to manifest one psychic power in each friendly psychic phase, and attempt to deny one psychic power in each enemy psychic phase. It knows the Smite power, and one psychic power from the appropriate Chaos Demon's discipline, which of course for a Demon Prince of Tzeentch would be the Discipline of Tzeentch. However, it becomes very interesting when we take a look at the Thousand Suns Codex, and under Psyker it reads, this model can attempt to manifest 2 psychic powers in each friendly psychic phase, and attempt to deny one psychic power in each enemy psychic phase. It knows the Smite psychic power, and 2 psychic powers from the Discipline of Change, Dark Hereticus Discipline, and or Discipline of Tzeentch. So not only are you able to cast twice as many psychic powers per psychic phase, but you have access to 18 different psychic powers to choose from, whereas the Demon Prince of Tzeentch from the Chaos Demons Codex only has access to 6 different powers to pick from. And the Thousand Suns Demon Prince of Tzeentch can bring 2 powers, whereas the Chaos Demons Demon Prince of Tzeentch can only bring 1. And there are a number of useful psychic powers from the Discipline of Change and the Dark Hereticus Discipline that would be very useful to have in a lot of different situations. For instance, to be able to bring the Diabolic Strength power from the Dark Hereticus Discipline on a Demon Prince would be incredibly powerful. Diabolic Strength has a warp charge value of 6. If manifested, select a Heretic Astartes model within 12 inches of the Psyker until the start of your next psychic phase. Add 2 to that model's strength characteristic and 1 to its attack characteristic. And a Demon Prince running around at strength 9 would be very, very useful against any toughness 8 units that you come across, such as a Knight Castellan, or a Land Raider, or a Plague Burst Crawler. To be able to wound those on 3s rather than 5s could make the difference in your game. And remember that all of this extra benefit from the Thousand Suns Codex comes at no cost. in either points or power. Now, of course, if you want to be battle forged and take advantage of certain special rules, if you bring a Demon Prince from the Thousand Suns Codex, you would then need to have everything else within the detachment also be Thousand Suns in order to take advantage of the Thousand Suns special rules, which means, of course, that you would not be able to take horrors as a troop choice. But is that really a problem? Because taking a look at the Thousand Suns Codex, Tzaangors seem like a much better option. They have a higher toughness, they're similar in points, although they do only have a 5-up invulnerable save, whereas pink horrors have a 4-up invulnerable save. But the higher toughness will help mitigate the negative effects of the lower invulnerable save against anti-infantry weapons, because fewer weapons will be wounding against you, hopefully. Or you could take cultists, which in general are cheaper, and if you're planning to just have them sit there and hold an objective anyways, you might as well save the points. Which brings me to my next point. And that is, if you were to bring a Demon Prince of Tzeentch from the Thousand Suns Codex within a Thousand Suns detachment, you get some very nice abilities. And while they would not be useful on Tzaangors or cultists, they would make your Demon Princes that much more powerful. And that is, you would have access to the Brotherhood of Sorcerers special rule, which states the ranges of all psychic powers manifested by units with this ability are increased by 6 inches. And the reason why you get this ability is because it states if your army is battle forged, Psyker units in Thousand Suns detachments gain the Brotherhood of Sorcerers ability in addition. And so to be able to run around with Demon Princes of Tzeentch with psychic powers that have an increased range would be incredibly helpful, not only for buffing your own units, but also for attacking your opponent. To be able to run around with 24-inch smite instead of 18 could make the difference in you being able to take out a unit that needs to be taken down or not. Because sometimes, depending on how your opponent sets up, you might be too far away even with an advance to be in range to throw smite. And with that extra 6 inches, that might give you the edge you need in order to get that smite onto your opponent's unit. And talking about Brotherhood of Sorcerers, we also need to go to the big FAQ 1 from 2018 under Psychic Focus, which states, with the exception of Smite, each psychic power can be attempted only once per turn rather than once per Psyker per turn. In addition, unless the Psyker attempting to manifest Smite has either the Brotherhood of Psykers, see Codex Grey Knights, or Brotherhood of Sorcerers ability, see Codex Thousand Suns, you must add 1 to the warp charge value of Smite for each attempt, whether successful or not, that has been made to manifest Smite during a given psychic phase to a maximum warp charge value of 11. And so the fact that if you bring a Thousand Suns detachment, your Demon Princes of Tzeentch can ignore the Smite nerf makes them that much more powerful, and all for no extra cost over the Demon Princes of Tzeentch from the Chaos Demons Codex, which doesn't make any sense to me. Now, this does mean, of course, that if you were to bring a Thousand Suns Demon Prince of Tzeentch, you wouldn't be able to have Soul Grinders or Furies or Heralds be in the same detachment and be able to get the Thousand Suns detachment abilities. But even so, the Thousand Suns Demon Princes are so much better that even with losing Brotherhood of Sorcerers, you'd still be better off taking the Demon Princes of Tzeentch from the Thousand Suns Codex. And you might say, well then, if you don't bring them from the Chaos Demons Codex, you then lose the ability to take Locus of Trickery. But I have to say, from my experience, Locus of Trickery is a pretty useless ability, and because of that, you're not losing anything by losing Locus of Trickery. And not only that, but Demon Princes of Tzeentch from the Thousand Suns Codex naturally have the ability Death to the False Emperor. They don't have to be in a Thousand Suns detachment to use Death to the False Emperor. And while Death to the False Emperor only works against Imperium armies, it is still 100 times better than Locus of Trickery. And just a refresher for those that don't know, Locus of Trickery states, roll 2 dice at the start of each fight phase and discard the highest result. result. Until the end of that phase, each time your opponent targets a Tzeentch Daemon unit within 6 inches of a friendly model with the Locus of Trickery and makes a hit roll that after rerolls but before modifiers matches your remaining dice result, that hit roll fails. And Death to the False Emperor states, each time you make a hit roll of 6 up for a model with this ability in the fight phase, it can, if it was targeting an Imperium unit, immediately make an extra attack against the same unit using the same weapon. These extra attacks cannot themselves generate any further attacks. And to prove just how much better Death to the False Emperor is compared to Locus of Trickery, and just how useless Locus of Trickery is in general, we're going to do a quick little dice test. So the way that it's going to work is I'm going to roll these 2 dice every time, shaking them up, of course, and moving them around, and we will take away the highest dice roll, and whatever is left, we will make a mark in one of the boxes with the corresponding number. And I will also make a tally along the bottom just to keep track of which roll we're on. So here we go. And so there we have it. After 20 rolls, when rolling 2 dice, taking away the highest, 11 out of the 20 ended up with a 1 being left behind, which means that 55% of the time, Locus of Trickery does absolutely nothing. Because obviously a hit roll of a 1 can never hit. Another 20% of the time, so 4 out of the 20 hits, were 2s, which against most units also is not going to do anything. Most of the time, unless it's a character like a Demon Prince or a Space Marine Captain, it's not going to do anything. And so obviously 75% of the time, you're not going to get anything that's even remotely useful. Another 3 out of the 20, so 15%, ended up with a 3, which can be decent against most Marines and units that actually have a half-decent weapon skill and are able to hit, but 3 out of 20 is not very much. None of the 20 dice rolls resulted in a 4 being left behind, which honestly would be the most useful one, because there are a lot of units out there that have a 4-up weapon skill. 2 of the 20, so 10%, somehow ended up with a 5, and that is decent, but 10% is not enough to reliably go off of, especially if you're considering taking it over Brotherhood of Sorcerers and Death to the False Emperor, and there were no boxcar rolls with double 6s, so 0% of the time was a 6 left behind. And obviously, that would actually probably be even more useful than the 4 now that I think about it, because that would mean that vehicles would never be able to hit against you unless they had some sort of ability that added 1 to hit rolls. But for the most part, pretty pathetic. And I can say with my experience from the previous group that that's pretty much what happened throughout the games Tzeentch played in. Most of the time it was 1s and 2s, which really didn't do anything. Very few times was a 3 or higher rolled, which actually could have done something. So it's not surprising to me at all. So the second and final dice roll test is going to be to see how many times a Demon Prince of Tzeentch with 2 sets of Malefic Talents is able to roll at least 1 6. And we will do this 20 times. And I have made 2 columns. I will place an X under the column 1 6 if 1 6 is rolled or more, and if at least 2 or more are rolled, I will also place 1 here just so that we can see how many times multiple 6s are rolled, because that just adds to the value. But as long as at least 1 6 is rolled, that generates an attack, which is important and could help determine whether or not you would want to bring Death to the False Emperor over Locus of Trickery. Although with the results that we got from Locus of Trickery, I think it's pretty self self-explanatory. And so I will now go through and roll all of the dice. Of course, a Demon Prince of Tzeentch with 2 sets of Malefic Talons will have 7 attacks total. Hitting on 2s and re-rolling 1s, and we will do the re-rolls as well because, of course, the re-rolls could result in 6s. So here we go. And so here are the results. 15 out of the 20 rolls with 7 dice had at least 1 6, and 11 out of the 20 rolls had 2 or more 6s in order to generate further attacks. And that is just incredible. So 75% of the time, you should get at least 1 6 to generate more attacks, and 55% of the time you should be able to generate multiple additional attacks. And compare that to Locus of Trickery, where 55% of the time it will literally do nothing. And so after all of that, what is the big takeaway from all of this? And my big takeaway, and the main reason for this rant, is you should never, ever, ever bring a Demon Prince of Tzeentch from the Chaos Demons Codex. Always take it from the Thousand Suns Codex, no matter what. Because for the exact same points, you get better abilities, more psychic powers, and a better stat line. And you don't have to remember to use Locus of Trickery in each fight phase, which isn't even going to do anything for you in the first place. Now, of course, if you still like Locus of Trickery, there are ways to still bring it. Just keep your Demon Princes from the Thousand Suns Codex separate from the detachment that you bring Heralds or Lords of Change in, and then you will still have access to Locus of Trickery. Also, if you did what I did in the previous group and bring a Supreme Command detachment with a bunch of Lords of Change and Kairos Fateweaver, the Demon Princes from the Thousand Suns Codex can still take advantage of Locus of Trickery because they are a friendly model, as long as they're close enough to one of the Lords of Change. Bring something else that can bring Locus of Trickery if you want Locus of Trickery. And so if you can figure out a way to affordably and efficiently bring the Demon Princes separate from your Pink Horrors, your Screamers, your Soul Grinders, all those Chaos Demon units, I would suggest to do so, because I think it will greatly help you in the long run to bring Thousand Suns Demon Princes. When I look back at the previous group in the Chaos Demons of Tzeentch army that I brought, I realize now that I could have switched out one of the 2 Screamer squads for a 3rd Demon Prince of Tzeentch with wings, and had the 3 Demon Princes be in a Supreme Command detachment from the Thousand Suns Codex, and just have Kairos Fateweaver and the 2 Lords of Change be the HQs for the battalion detachment from the Chaos Demons Codex. And I think that would have gone a long way to help them secure more victories and end up with a better standing overall in the group. So thank you so much for listening to me ramble and rant for a minute. I hope this didn't go on too long. I hope you found something interesting in this. I also really hope that I got everything in this correct, as this is my 2nd attempt at making this video. A big thank you to the people who corrected me in the comments on the previous video, which helped me realize my mistakes and helped me to realize that I needed to remake the video because I don't want to be out there spreading false information about what units can and can't do. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for the next one.